Look at Lujiazui now. There's hardly anyone there, just a few scattered people. Even the Oriental Pearl Tower area, my goodness. Fewer people than in our rural areas. Where have all the people gone? And this is a Saturday.
Let me show you the desolate Shanghai bus terminal. Look, nobody there. Inside the station.
好吧，到静安寺了。
Jing'an Temple. Carry Center in Jing'an District, Shanghai, the most bustling area in the city.
车流就这一点点。想象是两你搁这第五架。
7:40 on my way home. This is the traffic. Before, it would take 40 minutes to get home. Now it only takes over 10 minutes. How can the people run business in Carry Center?
Shanghai is a window to the outside world deliberately created by the CCP. The city has a very good geographical location. It is situated in the river delta and at the mouth of the Yangtze River, China's largest river. It is located in the middle of China's coastline and at the mouth of a golden waterway. Shanghai's neighbors are Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces. These two provinces, from ancient times to the present, have been among the wealthiest in China. Before the CCP established its regime in 1949, the economic center of the Far East was not Hong Kong, but Shanghai. At that time, Shanghai had far more large capitalists than Hong Kong. Shanghai's standard of living was higher than Paris, and higher than most places in the world. Few places in the world had higher housing prices than Shanghai in the 1930s. Only major cities like London, Paris, and Berlin. Even second-tier European cities couldn't compare to Shanghai in terms of prosperity and opportunities for wealth. After the CCP established its regime, there were few decent trading ports. Therefore, the Chinese government stipulated that foreign companies operating in China must choose a city within CCP-controlled territory to establish their regional headquarters. Many foreign companies chose Shanghai. Besides Shanghai, surrounding cities including Kunshan in Suzhou and Nantong become Shanghai's backyard. Many large international companies first established a company and headquarters in Shanghai, and then moved to Suzhou and Kunshan to set up factories. Therefore, Suzhou Industrial Park and Kunshan Development Zone had a large number of foreign-invested enterprises. At their peak, if the registered capital was less than $70 million, the local government wouldn't even meet with the owners of those foreign-invested enterprises, believing their capital was too insufficient. However, since the pandemic lockdowns and the implementation of the national security law in 2020, foreigners and foreign companies have left, and a large number of locals have emigrated overseas. Recession, unemployment, and bankruptcies are playing out in Shanghai, and the rest of China is experiencing the same story.
Let me show you the current state of the real economy in Shanghai. This is Qipu Road in Shanghai. It used to be very difficult to buy a shop here, but now, nobody inquires. The entire market is filled with for sale signs. The shop owners don't charge rent. You can move in, pay the property management fees, and they'll let you use it. But still, nobody rents it. You can see the occupancy rate of the entire market is less than 10%. There are only a few shops open near the entrance, but there are no customers. The real economy has become like this, and I don't know why.
在四川北路啊，这个四川北路啊，兄弟们，现在很萧条。
I'm on Sichuan North Road now, and it's very desolate. Except for a few well-known shops, many are closed. You can see for yourself. This used to be Shanghai's third largest commercial street. I don't know how it fell to this state.
Entering 2025, videos taken by many citizens and bloggers show that Shanghai, once extremely bustling, has become very deserted. Shopping malls are sparsely populated and many shops are closed. Not only on Huaihai Road, but also in the very famous Xintiandi on Huaihai Middle Road, most commercial areas are extremely deserted. The bustling scenes that citizens remember are almost gone.
Have you noticed? Shanghai has completely changed. Shanghai is quietly becoming poorer. Look, there are fewer and fewer people eating in the restaurants. A couple who used to frequent my restaurant disappeared recently. When I called, I found out they went back to their hometown. It's true. The era of consumption downgrade has arrived. Fast food costing a dozen yuan has become a lifeline for young people. Before, my restaurant area was full of young people gathering for dinner in the evenings. Now there are more staff than customers in the restaurants. The whole street is deserted.
In Shanghai's commercial districts, many restaurants used to be almost full, especially the outdoor dining areas in the night markets, which were almost always packed. Now it's completely different. Shanghai's once prosperous Zhujiahui district was home to renowned department stores, but those like the 600 and Pacific department store have closed. Even the 20-year-old Meilongzhen Yishidan department store on Nanjing West Road has shut down. These stores hold many memories for older Shanghainese, who feel that Shanghai is no longer the Shanghai of the past. This is a Shanghai wholesale market. On this day, only one bus from Changzhou, Jiangsu province arrived at this wholesale market.
Just our one bus. Look, the entire city of Shanghai, only one bus comes here to buy goods. How difficult business is.
When people live in other cities revisit to Shanghai, they also feel in a totally different sense.
This is actually the Dimi shopping center in People's Square, Shanghai. It used to be a mecca for Shanghai's trendy scene. Every 90s kid knew it. It was a must-visit spot for young people back then. You could say that the foot traffic here was no less than that of Nanjing Road. This time I came here again, but I don't expect that all the shops are closed. It is very deserted. The security guard here told me that there is a new Dimi ahead, which is 250 meters away. I am curious and want to go and see. When I get here, I find that almost everything is anime-themed. Look, it's all products derived from anime and comics. There are also related clothing. It feels like the mall is trying to save its business with this new industrial area. But business here is still very slow, with almost no foot traffic. And it's not just 250 meters from the subway station to here. Just that alone makes it hard for people to be interested in coming here. I don't know how this business will continue. I feel that it's not just Shanghai. Other cities are also experiencing a trend of closing stores. Even the shops around us that have been open for a long time. The business districts have quietly changed.
Because the advantages of Shanghai's core business districts have disappeared. In 2022, many foreign companies withdrew from China. Let's look at this set of data. Quarterly data on foreign direct equity investment in China. The lockdown of Shanghai in early 2022 marked the turning point for this data. Since then, it has not recovered. After the second quarter of 2023, it fell below $20 billion, occasionally turning negative, meaning that foreign companies closed down and withdrew their capital, resulting in net capital outflow. The negative $14.8 billion in the second quarter of 2024 was a record high, quite alarming. It's important to emphasize that direct equity investment refers to real industrial investment, that is, actually setting up factories and businesses, not financial investments like buying stocks or bonds. The strong determination of foreigners to leave China is fully reflected in this data. Many Shanghai residents are asking, why is this city experiencing such rapid decline? What exactly happened? First, let's look at the international environment. On April 2nd of this year, the United States officially announced comprehensive reciprocal tariff measures, which will have different impacts on different regions of China. Shanghai, located in eastern China, is heavily reliant on foreign trade for its economy. For example, its processing and export industries are export-oriented. Businesses here have stronger external connections and are therefore more sensitive to international changes. Shanghai's problems are clearly linked to the relationship between the US and China. As a financial center, a large portion of foreign financial investment enters China through Shanghai. The US has the world's largest banking and investment sector, and most financial investments and asset transactions are related to US capital. Therefore, the continued deterioration of US-China relations undoubtedly have the greatest impact on Shanghai. This is most evident in Pudong, where the recent economic downturn is largely related to major international trends. By 2024, foreign investment in China had decreased by 90%, much of which previously entered through Shanghai as a gateway. The US-China trade war began in 2018, with the core issue being the US's intention to restructure supply chains. Subsequently, a large number of foreign companies withdrew from China and moved to other countries. Not only foreign companies, but many Chinese companies have also relocated to Southeast Asia, especially those in the eastern coastal regions of China, due to various factors. China often lists 4 cities as first-tier cities: Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. These 4 cities developed after the 1990s thanks to China's export-oriented economic model. The significant increase in U.S. tariffs will have a substantial impact on these 4 cities. China has 2 financial centers, the primary one being Shanghai, and the secondary one being Shenzhen. Following several changes, the U.S.'s new tariff measures for 2025 imposes tariffs exceeding 50% on Chinese imports. This severely impacts export-oriented economies like Shanghai, Zhejiang, and Guangdong provinces. The situation will only worsen in eastern China. Ms. Guo Jun, a media professional residing in the U.S., believes that while the shift in Sino-U.S. relations will have some impact on major cities in central and western China, it shouldn't be as pronounced as in Shanghai and other eastern cities. She attributes this to both economic and political factors. Based on my observations and research, I agree with this view. First, let's look at the economic factors. Over the past decade or so, the Chinese government's strategy has been to relocate industries from the east to the west. Due to rising land and labor costs, many industries in China, especially labor-intensive ones, have shifted to the central and western regions. This situation began during the tenure of Hu Jintao, the then leader of the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese government started making these arrangements from that time. The CCP government's Western development strategy has both political and economic considerations. Because of the uneven economic development, the policy tilt towards the West is, to a certain extent, reasonable. There are also political factors. China's economy is roughly divided into 4 regions: East, Central, West, and Northeast. Why have many industries in China shifted to the central and western regions, but not to the Northeast? This is related to the deeply entrenched bureaucratic system in the Northeast, where many Chinese Communist Party state-owned enterprises are located. This has led to a unique bureaucratic culture in Northeast China. In 2012, Xi Jinping became the leader of the CCP. His previous rival was Bo Xilai, whose power base was Dalian in Northeast China. Bo Xilai is now in prison. After becoming leader, Xi Jinping has shown particular interest in the Qinling Mountains in Shanxi Province, a western province of China. A small example is that this leader, who now actively promotes communist ideals, actually strongly believes that the Qinling Mountains are the dragon vein of his dynasty. For a so-called illegal building in the Qinling Mountains, General Secretary Xi Jinping issued 6 directives in 4 years between 2014 and 2019. In fact, as early as the Mao Zedong era, for nearly 30 years, the CCP government's major projects were primarily invested in the West. Of the 156 projects initially aided by the Soviet Union, 50 were in the Northeast. Other defense and heavy industry projects were mostly concentrated in the central and western regions, with virtually none in the East. The reason was simple. The Northeast was closest to the Soviet Union. During that period, large enterprises from the Northeast and the Shanghai area were forcibly relocated to the central and western regions, mainly to mountainous areas like Sichuan and Shaanxi provinces, costing 200 billion yuan. At that time, 200 billion yuan was a huge fiscal expenditure. Why? Because the Mao Zedong era was focused on preparing for war. In the first 30 years of the CCP's rule, there was almost no major investment in the East. The reason was that party leader Mao Zedong believed war was inevitable. Once war broke out, the coastal areas would be devastated. The CCP was prepared to abandon the eastern regions. Therefore, the government did not invest in cities like Shanghai. From Hu Jintao to Xi Jinping, a significant amount of Chinese investment has shifted towards the central and western regions. Does this reflect a potential for war? I believe the answer is yes. In 2005, General Zhu Chenghu of the CCP stated that in a nuclear war with the United States, the area east of Xi'an would be abandoned, shocking the world at the time. Later, in late 2024, a professor at the National Defense University of China angrily criticized General Zhu's statement. This was seen as evidence that party leader Xi Jinping may have lost some control of the military. How Xi Jinping lost the military's support will be discussed in a separate episode.
The area east of Xi'an to fight a nuclear war with the U.S.? I say you're crazy. The area east of Xi'an is the most densely populated region in China, with nearly 1.2 billion people living there. Are you going to use 1.2 billion people as hostages to fight a nuclear war with the U.S.? We will take Taiwan even at the cost of 400 million of our people's lives. That's insane. What does 400 million live vanish mean? It means every household would have to wear white cloth. This kind of person has no bottom line. Stay away from him.
In fact, after 2017, after the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, the CCP accelerated its investment and industrial transfer to the West. The CCP's archives do indeed state that this is necessary for national security strategy. Of course, the CCP didn't directly say it is for war or to prepare for war. However, Xi Jinping's desire for Taiwan and the importance of acquiring Taiwan for consolidating his power cannot be ignored. Therefore, in recent years, major eastern cities, especially Shanghai, have experienced stagnation or even decline. On the one hand, it is related to the overall economic downturn in the country and the severe setbacks to the export-oriented economy. On the other hand, it is also related to the long-term shift of investment focus of this red regime in preparation for a war in the Taiwan Strait.